I'm Nick Schillingford coming to you from the Urban Cabin Studios in South Minneapolis with this interview. Let's go to the interview. Yeah, so on Socialist News and Views, we let folks introduce themselves. Can you each just tell our audience who you are and how you came to be part of the strike today, or started yesterday?
Mhm. Sure. Hi, Nick. I'm Natasha Villanueva. It's nice to meet you. I use
Hello.
she and they pronouns. And I came to organize to shut down the HERC in January of last year. I met with one of the organizers in the movement, and I live on the north side of Minneapolis in the Jordan neighborhood,
Okay.
which is one of the areas that is closely impacted by HERC and its
Mm-hmm.
action. And I have organized in movements in the past and was looking for a way to benefit my new community, the Jordan community that I moved into around 2 years ago. Uh, and found out about the decades of pollution that the facility has wrought on the north side and the south side, like Phillips neighborhood and Seward, like the surrounding
Mm-hmm.
outside neighborhoods as well. And I felt inspired to take up the baton of all the organizers that have gone before me to try to prevent the HERC's construction in the first place and now hopefully finally shut it down.
Well, thanks so much for being here.
Likewise.
Hey, I'm Nazir, is he pronouns. I'm the executive director of the Minnesota Environmental Justice Table, and I live in Whittier, about 4 blocks from where Alex Preddy was actually murdered. And
Mm,
um, yeah, it's also very, pretty close to the HERC, but on the south side of the city.
right.
And yeah, I've been involved in this fight for 6 years. I started when a whistleblower came to us back in 2020 with some really alarming information. And yeah, it's been a long fight, but it's been going on long before me. And but we hope that it's not going to go on much further.
I
That's why
know, right? Well, thanks for your work on your part here. That yeah, so
Hi, I'm Joshua, and I live in the Seward neighborhood in South Minneapolis. And I've been an organizer for about 15 years. Spent about 10 years organizing with the labor unions, AFL-CIO, and about 4 years with Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, doing some environmental justice work and kind of transition to the systemic equity space, really looking at food apartheid and public health disparities. And like what really opened my eyes were the disparities when it came to the comorbidities and the deaths post-COVID. Um,
hmm
lack of response in that time, and really seeing that the design of our societies and systems is not something that is a one-off. It's something that's repeated in Black and Brown communities all around the country and
hmm
really in the relationship of the global North and the global South. And I came to the fight at the HERC about 3 years ago, really being introduced to the work that M&EJ Table was doing and Nazir was doing, and being motivated, inspired by the history and the legacy there, and wanting to be grounded, place based, and stand up for our people and make sure we have clean air to breathe. So.
Well, again, thanks for everything that y'all are doing. I'm in the Howe neighborhood, so a couple neighborhoods over from Seward, a little further south. Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on what's going on. I know that they haven't been really doing what they should be doing, what they're supposed to be doing. Can you kind of one or all give kind of an overview of where we're at? I know that the HERC, the trash burning facility, was it's been polluting the air for a long time now. They keep saying it was going to close or it's going to close. It doesn't close, and now we're at the hunger strike point to put pressure on. Um, what did I miss? What did I get wrong? Fill in the gaps there for me.
Yeah. Well, HERC was constructed in the 1980s over resistance of
Yep.
residents at that time that forewarned the damage it was going to do. And Hennepin County commissioners ignored, residents' concerns at that time. And so it was supposed to burn for 20 years. It's been burning for almost 40 now. And where I kind of came into it was as a resident of the Stevens Square Loring Heights neighborhood previously, I knew of HERC sort of at the surface level, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people are operating right now.
Right.
I knew it existed. I put my trust in my elected officials that
Right.
it was going to be shut down, and then I learned that's not the case.
Right.
In fact,
Again, like a lot of people do, learn about it at
yeah,
the surface level, have a lot of trust in
yeah,
their electeds, and then they don't deliver.
exactly. Yeah. So they passed a resolution um, that the HERC will be shut down sometime between 2028 and 2040. However, they have to take a vote to actually implement
Oh,
that.
wow.
And that's what we're demanding happen. Uh,
Mm,
because a lot of people aren't aware that
mm,
we're breathing fumes from HERC, aren't necessarily aware that that's where their trash is headed, to be disposed of in that way. And so I think, speaking for us,
mm-hmm.
is a lot of us are invested in Hunger Strike to raise awareness so that more people understand the waste system and how they're contributing to that, either positively or negatively, um, and figure out ways to plug in to how they can become more sustainable. And we all have to be moving in the same direction in order to do that.
Right. Um, yeah, I was just gonna say if that covers it, as far as like where we're at, I just wanted to know if either y'all wanted to jump in on why it's important to y'all, but also how many people are actually on hunger strike now, and then what comes next? What's the what how does this move forward, or how are y'all envisioning it moving forward so that we can actually, close this thing down like it needs to close?
Yeah, there's three of us, right? There's supposed to be four. There's going to
Okay.
be someone else will be joining in a few days.
Okay.
But right now there's three of
So
us
y'all three are the three that are hunger
right
striking, right?
now.
Okay. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool. And there's
yeah.
one more that's going to be joining it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. And there was somebody who was Janet Katui was part of it. She's been in the news about it,
Okay.
but she had a personal loss, so she had to
Oh,
step.
sure.
So she's yeah.
Sure.
But and then yeah, I mean, in terms of why this is important, we're really what we have now is a situation where, a lot of this campaign and this work so far, the advocacy has been working, we thought in good faith with elected officials, as Natasha was saying, including, I think, most concerningly, and I think really the message needs to get out in the community with the so-called progressives on the board, Angela Conley and Irene Fernando, and Marion Green. And in particular, the issue, that's come to be is that Commissioner Fernando, who, the HERC is in her district, has really taken lead on this issue and sort of told everyone that she's the lead. And then kind of Commissioner Conley, in partnership with her, have sort of like, taken ownership of this issue. And then they led the passage of this resolution back in 2023 that Natasha was talking about. But just to like really put a point
Yeah.
on it, it's because it's really confusing the public. And
Mhm.
even, we have like talked with reporters and like laid this out and very like tried to make the point that the HERC will never close unless they do an additional board action, an additional
Right.
vote to start the process. But for some reason, media seems to think for us, it's just that we are like impatient and we want it to
Sure.
close tomorrow. And that's, that would be great.
I
We
was
are
gonna say,
calling.
I wouldn't mind if it closed tomorrow, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
we want the soonest possible closure. We've
Right.
said end of 2027 because that like lines up actually with what a bunch of legislators have called
Right.
for, the city of Minneapolis has called for through a unanimous city resolution. And it's what even the county's own closure plan resolution, which said, 2028 to 2040. So it lines up with everything. But the issue is not actually the timeline that we are really concerned about. It's that it will never happen, ever, not even by 2040, unless the commissioners take a vote.
Right.
And we have a real issue of, like misinformation and frankly, like, I don't know how else. It's either like misgovernance, like political malpractice, or purposely misinforming and deluding the public into thinking this is happening automatically. And
Right.
Commissioner Conley, honestly, who's the most progressive, I think we're really like disappointed, frankly. And like we saw her as an ally for years. She talks about environmental justice. She called for her to close, to be phased out when she was running for office in 2018. She's been the person most explicit in meeting after meeting telling people like we already took that vote. We don't need to take another vote. And so it's really confusing people.
Right.
And like, so part of this fight is to like say, to make clear to the public that this facility will never close unless they take action. Um and that's really, and it's a part of the frustration is like that we've been deceived and we're seeing this continuous active like attempts to misinform and confuse the public. And that's why we're taking it to the public. That's why we
Mhm.
need the people to join us. We got to move out of this insider. We're going to trust in our supposed allies. We don't have any allies on the board.
Mhm.
So we need the people to join us and put pressure so that they stop being, opaque. They start being transparent. They start actually sharing what is the plan. How do we get this done? And all we're really asking for at this point is sit down with us, negotiate a closure. Like
Right.
you said, you want to do this. Let's figure out how to do this. We're open. They actually had a proposal to turn HERC into some other kind of waste facility. We
Right.
had a lot of questions about what is that going to look like. They weren't giving us any information. And so if they have a proposal, let's figure it out.
Right.
We're all ears, but they won't even respond to us now.
Right. All totally reasonable. Yeah, so you said you're trying to get the public involved, others that are watching, listening right now, like, what can they do? How can they get involved? And then like, are there any other final messages that like people should be aware of?
Yeah, I'll say that I'm full of some grievances, right? There's a lot to be upset about that isn't right in the world today, especially when it comes to the treatment of Black and brown bodies in the global South and green zones and environmental sacrifice zones. And I'm also really grateful today too that I had time with trainers who, cutting my teeth as a canvasser and as
Mhm.
the director of canvassers and training others, realized that what makes the most effective organizer is when the person is empowered.
Mm.
Person is empowered with a sense of some security and a sense of skills, a sense of knowledge, and a community that they can move forward with and they believe in and they can fight for. And I know we have a powerful upswelling of community that cares about what's happening in Gaza, that cares about what's
Mhm.
happening in Iran, that cares about what's happening to Black and brown bodies across the world. And in order for us to grow, to have the power to fight against that, we have to be empowered ourselves and stand up in the fights that we have right here in our backyards and the
Mm.
atrocities that we're facing in our backyards. And I see the movement growing here in Minnesota, and I'm grateful to see that. And I want to challenge the listeners, the viewers. Like, yes, we need like we need strategists, we need generals, we need folks who are reading the books, who are understanding the big words, but we also need people who are reaching out to their networks,
Mm-hmm.
who are reaching out to their neighbors, who are building these relationships, starting from where the people in their communities are at,
Mm-hmm.
and getting them to that next level to be empowered in themselves and in community with one another, so we can make the change and we can protect what is most valuable at this time.
And you guys are obviously they can, let those electeds know they're paying attention, but also like y'all are calling for folks to come out like daily or weekly. There's got a
Yeah.
reoccurring thing,
Yeah.
or you're working on
Yeah.
that? Where's that at?
We're going to be at the County Government Center downtown Minneapolis every day, pretty much,
Nice.
and particularly at noon.
Okay.
So come out, if you can, show some support. You can also speak out and say some words if you want, but we'll be I think in the lobby is the plan, and folks can find more information on zeroburncoalition.org. There's a list of we have a whole bunch of events, like a lot of we have a 70-member coalition. It's a
Nice.
really big coalition of organizations and a lot of people. And so coalition partners are putting on events, like Sierra Club is hosting an event tomorrow about what is possible when you get rid of the HERC, what kind of
Nice.
zero future does that enable? Then on the 16th in East Phillips, we have a health hearing because Commissioner Conley refused to hold a health hearing. She's the health chair in her committee, so we're doing one in the community, and we invited all the commissioners to join. And then the main two events, though, are on the 18th, we have a rally in front of the HERC. I'm forgetting what time. That's a Saturday. I think it's around 1 o'clock. And
They can
then
find it on the website too, I imagine. I'm
awesome,
sure as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
it's all on the website. And the biggest one is if we can have everybody show up on Tuesday, the 21st at around 1 o'clock. The board meeting starts at 1:30. We really want to pack the room and get them to act.
Mhm. And we've shown up to a lot of public comment periods.
Right.
Like we tried so many.
I've been at one too. I made a comment
Yeah,
myself, so I've been there. Yeah,
yeah.
and that was just one, and I know y'all been way more than
wild.
that.
Yeah, like we keep showing up and keep giving our testimony, and all we're asking is that they listen and
Right.
execute their own plan. Yeah. And involve us, involve
Right.
the community in the solutions for what comes next.
Well, I really appreciate the time, and I'll leave it there. Folks should check out the website, and I really appreciate the time. Unless there's any other final thoughts anybody wants to leave us with, otherwise we'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Look forward to seeing you too.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you this week, at least a couple times, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Take care.
Take care, and I'll let you know when this is all up. Take care.
Thanks.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.